Good evening, beautiful ladies and wonderful gentlemen. Just bear with me. What up, what up, what up? That was in vogue back in the days, huh? with the school days. Remember that? Big deep message in there, huh? That was in vogue though. They tore that song a hole in it. They put a black light on that, beamed it up. They did their thing. But all the school days was about race, light skin, dark skin, multiple racial ethnicities. It was deep. It wasn't just about a black thing. It was about a diverse black thing. And since those glory days of school days, it's like a message that's been missed. I remember back in the 90s. You remember back in the 90s, saying, remember back when every female back in the days was just jumping on the weaves and really going super duper hard. The weaves was out way before the 90s, but what I mean? Because Shaka Khan had it and Patti LaBelle. They had the big weaves and the wigs and stuff like that. But just remember back when it really was a phase that just went through a frenzy. And then you had all the ladies switching up and saying that they was mixed. I'm mixed. I'm mixed. Remember that? Everybody's mixed. And it was a deep message. It's a deep message.
Please pick up.
School's in session. School is in session. We have a deep conversation to talk about. When was that? What year was that? Like 1991? What year was that, folks? Give me a year. Who got a year in that? What year did that movie come out? School Days. School Days, very interesting movie. Concept has been forgotten. But like I say, if we was to do a breakdown, I would like to see the top scholars do a breakdown of the movie School Days alongside with Spike Lee to break down the whole concept. I mean, just everything, where we at with School Days right now. Just imagine how much money has been spent on weaves from the time of that movie coming out to this day. Looking like someone else, thinking like someone else, being like someone else, and not really being yourself. And that's because we have so much diversity now. So it's what is yourself? We seem to be a very diverse race of people. We seem to be a very diverse nation of people. It's a whole lot of interbreeding, crossbreeding, a lot of DNA matching. There's a whole lot of things that's been going on forever. So when you look at it, what is the real problem? It's the hate of just the other, something different. And many people display that hate for something different. And that movie was about light skin against dark skin. When we look at when the School Days come out, when the School Days come out, we're talking about biracial families, relationships that's been affected by this man, Umar Johnson. How he's been downplaying, and he's in Delaware, and there's a lot of mixed races out there. There's a lot of babies that's been born from a black father or black mother and another race. And he's going to go out there and try how is he really going to interact with that on a high level when that's what he's preaching in that area. I know when I was went over by the school the other day, once I went to the school, there was this white lady right behind the school. I guess she lived behind the school. And ever since they cut down all the weeds and woods and everything, you could see clearly straight through her backyard. And she just happened to be outside there. When I came back there, she acknowledged me. In other words, she was protecting Umar Johnson's school. There's another white lady on the other corner of his school, on over there by the red, black, and green doors. White lady. She also be patrolling his school. But he talks so downly of white people and those folks who's mixed breed. This guy, he don't like the mixed breed, mixed breed, because he don't like the word breed. So we have to watch our words, because the same way we don't like to hear nigger, some other folks who don't like to hear mixed breed. So our mixed mankind, our mixed up, dissected, DNA matched up, and we got this type of people that look like a Tisha Campbell, real light skin, or a Jasmine Guy. And then when we have people like that, we have people like Umar Johnson who will subtly disrespect them, but then try and bring them back into the equation. You know, when we talk about where we are right now, it's very touchy and very hard. And that's why it's very important for us to understand people like Mike Tyson. He grew up, he knew he's black, but he was adopted by a white family that took him in. So you can say that Mike Tyson grew up in a biracial family. It wasn't just Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson knew Floyd Patterson. And like Mike is from Brooklyn, Floyd was from Brooklyn, and Cus D'Amato was from Bronx. And this white man saw something in these two black boys that he embraced and brought him and made them part of his family. Especially Mike. He raised Mike. He said that Mike brought him and gave him a new life. So when we look at DNA families, families that are blood, what makes them any different than a custom model to a Mike Tyson? And like Mike Tyson would say to Umar Johnson, who are you to say that they shouldn't love one another? Who are you to say that they can't be amongst each other? Because that's what Mike would say to him. And that would be a very interesting conversation debate. That's why it's important for Umar Johnson to have that seat in hot boxing, to have that seat with Mike Tyson so Mike Tyson could give him the strong, tough questions. Like, who are you? Who are you? What makes you the king of consciousness? Who gave you, who labeled you that person? Who gave you the power and authority to speak down on families? It's going to take a nice hot seat to have that man sit in, because pressure has to be applied if we are to pick up and build up man. If we are to build up mankind, where do we really start? And that's the deep conversation, because it's always two sides to a seesaw. So what will be the defense of preaching and practicing that strong separation from biracial families? I remember Umar was talking about how he's gonna, he's getting a town in Africa, and in the town he's gonna have a separate area for his people. He's gonna have the people that all come along, but he's gonna have like a separate town for his clan of people that's all gonna be part of his village. Are biracial families involved? This conversation must be conversed on, because, and I'm not just talking on a small level, I'm talking about on a world global level, especially if he's wanting to talk about putting schools all over this nation. I'm definitely for Black power. I'm definitely for uplifting my people. But the conversation must be handled in the 2020s. It's okay for us to converse. It's okay for us to have a conversation about it. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay for us to talk about women issues and where they feel in life. Feminism. It's okay for men and women to have a conversation about feminism. It's okay for men and women to have a conversation about the LGBT community. It's okay to converse about these topics. It's only when you allow these topics to take over your emotions and your spirit and your soul, and to make you start having negative thoughts. That's when the conversation must really be dissected and understood of why do it take you to that level in 2020s. Let's take Jasmine Guy. Jasmine Guy is, especially in the 90s, she was one of those beautiful women that we would look at TV. And she was the image that they wanted to put out there at the time. We didn't understand, but they wanted to put the image of light skin, long hair, pretty, slim. We didn't have many Gabrielle Unions portrayed out there at the time. But I guess they was preparing you for a future in which that biracial families was definitely going to be the norm. And light skin was going to be the real, true, new, normal Black, because they have maybe a reason of doing this. And that's where like I say, the conversation must come in. Like in New York City, I was noticing like because I always be on the train, so I noticed how like billboards start switching up. You never really saw black boys with black girls in relationship billboards. You only really seen mixed race of billboards. It was like it was just a major flow of it, and then you start seeing little kids looking like Steph Curry with the curly hair, real light skin, blondish hair. That was just a norm. I mean, like in the last 10, 15 years. Like I say, from school days to now, it's been something that's been pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping. And it is a conversation that must be spoken about. Is the natural, and how we say natural? You don't say natural, but then you say original. How you say original? But is the natural African being bred out? Is the natural African American being bred out? Is it being put advertised and promote to breed out? Because like I said, I watched the movie and I love the movie, and the movie was called Braveheart, and it was when the king was talking to a lot of the noblemen, and he was talking about the Englishmen. He said, if you can't kick them out, you breed them out. And that's what I'm saying. Are we being really, truly conditioned to breed ourselves out? And is that a conversation that we should have? And when we turn it all back to Umar Johnson, is this a man that can have and conduct this conversation about race? And is the black man being bred out? And this is something that needs to be conversed about because he has downplayed it in many ways and talked about many folks in many ways. And he conversed with yellow people, and I heard him say it many times. And I'm pretty sure you heard it many times. And I want to know those families who might feel offended by him. How is it that how can we have a conversation? How can we truly have a conversation without bringing offense? And that's where we at. Happy Friday. What? Lord have mercy. I am the boogeyman. I don't get scared. And for you to come on my chat talking nonsense, I'm about to disperse you. So, like I say, um, when we look at the situation that we're living in, exactly, there's definitely agenda, and that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the main agenda, and could this man really converse about it, or did he put himself in such in a deep hole that it's hard for him to get out of it because so many of his people that's been paying attention, following, won't be able to hear the message from him. Do you think that he can deliver the message, or did he put himself in a hole where the LGBT family and the feminist women and the biracial clan is like, yo, we're not feeling you. Although these are topics that we need to discuss, because like I said, I've been studying this myself, and I know there's a major plan. And like I said, it's about building up mankind, building up men. But if we don't take time out to really build up a strong black nation race, we will be bred out. And that's why it's important for us to build up ourselves so that we can be comparatively worthy of one another. Some women don't. Some black women get to a certain level and status in life, and they can't find black men in their work field and in their surroundings, and so they end up dating and marrying white men or Asian men or Spanish guys or whatever case may be, but just someone other than black men. And now you see the influx of or Arabs being flooded into your communities. And so, like I say, it's many forms of biracial families. It's not always just about white and black. It's about the breeding out of the original black people. And like I say, this is a conversation that must be spoken on, and not just roughly spoken on like we the victim, like we all the enemies, but we have to speak on this in the way that we can come to a real conclusion of where we at and where we do stand and what nation of people is really being affected by this. And then once we can understand that, then we all can really get along and move forward. Because when you look at a Pan-African teacher, Pan-African teacher can sometimes seem like it's just one-sided. But life is never one-sided. It's three-dimension, six-dimension. There's so many different angles to it. And so we have to be able to converse intelligently on that level, godly on that level. Because like I say, folks, this is about building up mankind. And it's not about destroying. And some people are put themselves in position and all they're doing are destroying humans and pulling humans from wanting to even collectively work together. And that's why I bring this platform to talk about. If there's anybody who would like to open up the discussion a little bit more deeper than myself, it's definitely open topic. If there's anybody here who's in relationship, they might be a Spanish and black, or they might be Spanish and white. Of course, they might be black and white or black and Spanish. But if you are in a biracial relationship, you have children who is of a mixed race, and you like to talk about how they feel about growing up, because that's always where it comes from. That's the deep part, when you have the children and then the children going through life. What is their typical lives like? What's their conversations about when they come home from school? What school do you try and put them in? It's a lot of conversation that do go with it. And that's the reason why we have to have intellectual conversation, so that people won't put their foots in their mouths because, they just speaking on one side of the seesaw. Like I say, there is a conspiracy. Shit, you better know it. There's a conspiracy, period. Period. I stand strong with what I say. There is a conspiracy. I believe they are breeding us out. There is love. Yes, there is love. Yes, there is love. Yes, there is love. But it's how they figuring out how to channel love to a certain point where they can breed out us black folks. 30 years of crossbreeding, you definitely have your agenda accomplished, because you can really start to take away the original mindset of people as well, of being strong in their race, strong in their culture. So like I said, this is conversation that we must have, but who can truly have that conversation that can lay it and put the cards on the table where we can really move forward? You have to be brave to talk and have conversation like this. This is brave, man. This brave heart talk conversation. You have to be brave to want to be able to engage in conversation with feminine women and women who believe in women's rights. Yeah, that's all cool. Yeah, shit. But I have no problem with that. I just want to always discuss the root of everything. We could talk about the beautiful trees, we could talk about the leaves, we could talk about the branches, but let's go to the root of that oak tree. Why it was planted? Was it planted to hang people, or was it planted to bear sun, shade from the sun? Which one was it? And when you look at a financial institution that do not really have a lot of people at certain positions and places, then you always know that economically it's going to affect relationships. And when you affect relationships, you affect the outcome of what's being born. So, like I say, it is a deep conversation that we must have because it's tough love. One beautiful thing about like the Asian culture is that they really practice and teach things very, very strongly hard. And then when you go against it, they say you've been Easternized or Americanized. You know what I'm saying? They all, every movie you see, every show you watch, everything they say, they always say Americanized. So what is it being Americanized? See that's what I want you to understand. Like I said, when I watch things, I listen and I try and break it down. And when you always hear like the father talk to the daughter, he might slap her. And he say, "You follow this American tradition and culture. You're banned from the family." Like, it's like, huh? They don't like that culture. You follow American culture. Well, I can't take this off. Did my thing freeze? See, I think my screen froze again. This what happened the other night too. The screen froze, and I thought it went bad, so I did this, and I snapped out of it. I'm gonna do it again, and if you guys still hear me, that was the issue. So my screen froze because I'm trying to take Scarlett off my screen. I can't do that. So what I did was I exited. Am I back? Yes, I am. I'm back. So if there's anybody who would like to have a little bit more conversation, dialogue, this is definitely open panel discussion. This is a very strong, good topic, and I want to have some real dialogue because I want to get this message to a lot of people who really have this type of debate. I want them to hear from the side of those individuals who was born. I wanted if you was born, with a white mother and a black father, or vice versa, or a white father and a Spanish mother, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? I would like for you to, or somebody, or if you want to just claim someone else to be that, for whatever case, just have dialogue. This is the conversation I would like to have because we have to address this to Umar, how he needs to really start speaking and feeling and take people's feelings more into consideration if you would like to be that leader, because we don't need someone that always bring confrontation. That doesn't I can't get the right word, but that don't show a strong leader. That doesn't reflect on being a strong leader. You have confrontation. That's not what a strong leader is. A strong leader is one who can actually diffuse confrontation. That's what a strong leader really is. Oh, thanks. So that came out 1988. So 1988. We are almost 7 years from what that being 88, 90, 2008, 18, almost 40 years old. That movie's almost 40 years old. Almost 40 years. So in 40 years of weave buying, how much money have our beautiful black queens? See, that's why it's hard for me to say certain things because I'm like, damn, man. Our beautiful black queens, how much money did we spend on weaves in 40 years? And not just women, because the men were spending the money too in 40 years. In 40 years, we could have came up with something that will make our hair grow and grow and grow and so beautiful and strong. Why someone hasn't come up with that in the last 40 years? Why we don't have black faces on that? And that's because, like I said, there is a design to really take away your mind of being feeling that you're beautiful. And as long as our women is always going to be now being put in positions where they get in jobs much faster than men, as long as men are finding ways to go to jail much faster, there will be a whole lot more interracial relationships in the near future. Interracial relationships is going to be at an all-time high by the time 2025 comes in. Everybody's going to want to have a little north-looking baby, and it's just the facts. Because, like I said, the mindset is way different. The mindset has done left what Umar really believes in, the whole black nation, that has really been washed away. And the only way that it can really survive and rise is if the confrontation ends in the black culture and the lane. But for some reason, it's only confrontation that makes people feel like they can be known. They don't think that they can be known by doing good. Confrontation brings hype. I didn't know who Freddie Gibbs was until Hotbox and then Mike. And then Freddie Gibbs, I didn't know Freddie Gibbs until, and this for real, I didn't know Freddie Gibbs until academics. So it's like, I ain't paid no attention to Freddie Gibbs until confrontation. And our black men and our black women has been having so much confrontation. All they've been doing is advertising confrontation within the news, within the TV shows, within the programs, within everything. So therefore, all we do, all we know is like it's always confrontation with black men and black women. So that's another way of getting us to have relationships outside that, to build families outside that, promoting confrontation amongst the man and the woman. But like I said, this is conversation that must be spoken about. But are we too sensitive that we just get offended? Are people too sensitive that they get offended with Umar? Or is just Umar just that rough of a person when he's delivering the message? Well, look at me. Whatever message he's trying to deliver to me, it's been over a year. I ain't get my money yet. So like I say, when I look at the way he delivered whatever message he wanted to deliver, it's a little unorthodox and way out the box, and he needs to sit in hot box, like I said, with Mike Tyson, so Mike Tyson can discuss race. Because like I told you from the beginning, Mike Tyson was raised in a biracial with a biracial family. He was the black guy and they was the white people. He was married into that family. He was adopted, but he was married into that family. Mike Tyson, honestly, is so crazy because Mike Tyson, I mean, when we look at Mike Tyson's life, he was poor. He was in the gutter from the age of child all the way to maybe like 16, 17 the most. But realistically, if he really been with Cuss for all those years, Mike Tyson don't really know too much hardship except for the hardship that he had before Cuss. And from that whole life of being with Cuss Model, his whole world just changed. Growing up in that white family in upstate New York in the Catskill Mountains. Even when he became champion, he said, yo, he's bored. He said, if this was all about being a champion, it's boring. So you gotta understand that, he's been around certain things all his life. So it would be great to have him and Umar Johnson sit down and talk about biracial relationships, biracial families, and what it's like growing up in a household where you not is you part of a different race. Because Mike Tyson can give great stories. I truly believe that Mike Tyson can really give Umar Johnson some great stories, and I'll guarantee you Umar Johnson will rebuttal and bring confrontation to these things. But No matter what, it was Mike Tyson's blessing. And I believe he deserved whatever he got from the life that he was able to get, especially from coming from the streets of Brooklyn. So if that whole world really was able to change him and put him in the right steps and better his life where he's still around to this day, that he can sit back and be some form of teacher, then so be it. That was a purpose and point, and it was a blessing for us all, especially a lot of the young men who don't believe they can make it through. So, Umar Johnson, it's important for you to take notes because you can't teach in these states that really don't tolerate that type of dialogue. You're not going to be accepted around people easily as you think you're going to be accepted teaching and preaching this type of dialogue, especially when you can't relay the message in the manner that people will understand where you're coming from without feeling some type of way, feeling disrespected. Think about what I'm telling you. How can you relay your message without totally disrespecting folks? Anybody would like to have a conversation about this? I like to have topics that make you think. I like to have I like to put words out there that really make you suck them up and digest them. And some people don't not even taste this medicine. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to get this teaspoon, a tablespoon of dialogue. But I like to give this dialogue to really get it down your digestive system, so that you can really it can circulate through your system, and hopefully it manifests itself to what it needs to do. And that's to get to your soul, folks. I'm not going to really be here too long if I'm not going to have many folks come in and conversate. Like I say, I would like to have a little conversation on this. I'm actually going to prepare for a little later on tonight in my dialogue with Mike Tyson. How about it, to folks? I done told you, I told you that Elon Musk? He launched that. I told you he launched the whole thing, and I said the 6 billion. That's no good. That's going to be nothing. So many people going to jump in on that, and like you say, how the Hunger Games begin? You about to watch it be set up. You watching the Hunger Games being set up right before your eyes. You gotta ask yourself, how do World War Z and all this, what you call it, zombie shit happens, take place? You watching shit all before your eyes. The world powers that be, the people, the richest people in the world are really operating, and it's going to look like they're doing the good, which is a good thing. But at the very end, what's the end results of the good thing? World domination. It's just so sad. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, to be honest, but it's so sad that this dude, Jake Paul, it was a YouTube sensation and saying, "Yo, if this man can throw, it's going to throw this money. I'm gonna throw 10 million. Where did he get his money from? To say I'm gonna throw 10 million, and all I just need is over 600,000 people to talk about it. Like that, we have to step up our game, folks. We gotta stop tearing down. We gotta start uplifting. Yeah, folks. To be honest, in the last 10 years, because I'm watching all the haters that Umar had in all these years. I'm watching all the people who created content against them. And no matter what they say, the way I look at you guys are his number one fans. There's no way there's hating from you. It's just being fans. All you guys are doing is being 1000% fans. You're doing his advertising, you're doing his promoting. You getting him, or you keeping him in the spotlight, which is I guess is a good thing if you was to take the energy and figure out how we're going to end the confrontation. Because if this dude Jake Paul can throw $10 million, how long he's been a millionaire? Understand what I'm saying? So then you go all the way back to the original question, like, is biracial families a bad thing? And then you ask, why is it bad? So this is the debate. This is the conversation that needs to be spoken on. And before Umar Johnson really truly opens these schools, because he done spoke about these things, he need to really just have these as topics: women, feminists, LGBT, the gay movement, biracial families, and his hate or his dislike for black men. Because he gotta hate me. He gotta hate black men for him to do some craziness like this, risking the school, going to court. Is it because I'm light skinned? I said I heard you talk about light skinned people several times. Big up to all those content creators who can hold a conversation with the folks and keep them somewhat entertained, where they listen and paying attention to you for at least 30 minutes, because that's actually a good thing. Because when you look at school, most classes be over in 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So for those content creators who can actually keep and hold people's attention and not be bashing or joking about someone and really thrashing people, that's deep. We all talk about a situation. We talk about, is Umar and will Umar be able to really have conversations about race without disrespecting folks? What's going on with Tariq Nasheed? Did he raise $1 million in less than a month, in about a month time frame? And is Umar Johnson really jealous that he's really taking jabs at him? This is what we talk about, folks. This is what we're talking about. There's something wrong within that man's system that has hate. It's a little bit too much hate. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. So when you ask me why he never paid me, I would just say maybe he don't like light skinned men. It's a scary situation that we're dealing with, because, like I say, the more power the person gets, especially black man get, the more power a black person gets, the more ruthless they can become, especially if that's the path that they already been heading. And when we do a breakdown of conversations with this man, most of the conversation is confrontation. I believe there's people that's going to be doing a live tonight about him in regards to his HVAC. You know what I'm saying? They still talk about the HVAC. And like I said, folks, I mean, I don't think that it's going to be, I believe the HVAC is going on to school, yo. I mean, that's for real. So I don't care what you guys think. Me being there, me knowing what has happened in the last year time, I know his money didn't slow up and him gathering it. So the HVAC is going on top of school, because why not put the HVAC on top of school? Let's just say if you're going to sell it, why not? That's just, more things to make increase the value. So the HVAC is going on top of the school, folks. Like, you can talk about it as long as you want, but as long as when the HVAC goes up there and put up there, then what you going to talk about? The HVAC is going on top of the school. It's going on top of the school, folks. The same way the electricity was turned on, the same way the paint got turned on. What we need to start talking about is real stuff right now, because it's almost crunch time. Kwanzaa's around the corner. That man's gonna have that HVAC on top of that school because you guys are giving him nothing but motivation. As a matter of fact, who would like to take me on the bet? I bet someone $50 that my 50 to your 20. Okay, you don't even have to bet 50. I'm gonna bet 50 to your 20. If you win, you can get my 50. If I win, I'll get your 20. I bet you that his HVAC be on the building before December 1st. I even bet you that the HVAC be on top of the building before Black Friday. Maybe you guys know something I don't know because I don't pay attention to nothing that's going on like that. I just know that he said last year that he had the money for the HVAC. So it's not about money. He got the money for the HVAC. If you want to buy a brand new car and you got the money for it, what's going to really stop you? Except for you haven't found the right car that you want. The only thing that hasn't stopped him with getting the HVAC on is just the fact that he got a demonic spirit around him. But he's going to make it happen. Even if he put the HVAC on the top of the building and the shit just fall through the roof, he put the HVAC on top of the roof though. But the bottom line is, how are you going to talk to folks who's going to come into your school and it's going to be a black man and a white woman? How are you going to be able to discuss Pan-African to these children without sounding like you're a racist? And that's what the real question is. When you go to these boys' houses in the middle of the night and snatch these kids out their house and take them in the woods for their little boys' rites of passage, what are you going to be teaching them in regards to race? Once again, folks, if there's anyone who would like to have a conversation with Icy Don, I would love to converse. We're building up mankind right now. We're building up mankind. We're building up men. And we're having the conversation that we need to talk about. We conversed a bit earlier this week about women and their issues with Umar. We didn't go too much in depth with it because no lady really came out. I could have gave you a list of issues that women might have with him, but I didn't choose to do so because it's not about me. It's about you with the issues. I have an issue with him, my money, and how he disrespects strong black men. What's your issue is being a family of a black man or a black woman in a relationship with the white guy? That's conversation that's deep itself. And that's a conversation, like I said, to really go into this future, why we don't want to really have those dialogues. Would it really encourage people to become strong in their culture if we really had these dialogues on a high level? And that's another reason why they don't have these conversations. Like I said, there is conspiracies all around it now. We have love and stuff like that, yeah, but we also have conspiracies. When you combine all that together, it's breeding out. Well, I don't want to bore you folks no longer. Like I say, when I come and have my lives. I honestly, I could do from now on. I'm not gonna do lives no more because if I'm gonna be talking to myself, I might as well just sit in my car and have the conversation with myself. You know what I'm saying? But when I do live, I want to have conversation with folks. I want to have interaction. That's why I do a live. But I'm actually going to stop doing lives. I'm just going to I'm just going to be doing a little 10-minute, 5-minute posts of just my thoughts and things like that. I'm going to leave it like that because doing lives is kind of whack if I'm not going to be engaging with conversation. We see when I engage with conversation, we be having lives for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. But I don't feel like just holding conversation just to get the whole conversation. Tune into the next live as we talk about Mike Tyson and Umar Johnson. And do you really know who Umar Johnson is, Mike? Do you know who Umar is? Well, I'm gonna let you know and give you the breakdown and the history of who Umar Johnson is and why it's important for you to take the time out instead of you boxing Jake Paul. It's important for you to figure out how you can really help us knock this man's head off because he needs to get his jaw tapped. So that's who Umar Johnson is, Mike. Is a person that you need to tap his jaw. So I'll see you a little later on, folks, when I have that little dialogue with myself about Umar Johnson to Mike Tyson. See you a little later. If there's anybody who would like to talk, that's awesome. But I'm about to just lay down and rest my mind. I had a long day. Like I said, I got up at 4 in the morning. No, I should say I got up like 2 in the morning and I was making my buttons. And I was thinking about this lineup I wanted to talk about. Then I also had to get myself ready. Did some work earlier. Made me a few dollars, which was good. And now I'm laying down, just resting my mind because, like I said, I was up early in the morning. My brain is just moving. Brain cells is moving. I got to check my emails. I got some phone calls that came in. I got a meeting with this high school on Monday about my program. You understand what I'm saying, folks? It was beautiful because I was passing out the cards in front of the school, and I knew the security was going to come and say something because, you know, I already know. So the security chick come up to me and she says, first I gave the card to some kid and she walked up to the kid and said, you know, let me see the card. So I walked back up to her and I gave her own card, you know what I'm saying? Gave her a little card. And then I'm passing out the cards, walking down the block, passing out cards, and she wanted to follow me down the block. And as I'm turning back around, she said, excuse me, um, you can't be passing. I said, "What you?" And then this lady came out of nowhere. And then she said to the lady, "Yeah, excuse me, he's passing out the cards." I'm like, "Bitch, shut the fuck up." I mean, that's all the thing I'm saying in my mind. But you know, I'm being cool because I know I need to be cool. So I'm being cool. And the lady who was just so happened to be, you know, walking behind me, she said, "Oh, give me 3 cards." So here the security trying to tell to this woman like he shouldn't be passing out cards, and she like, "Oh, I like that. Give me 3 of those cards." And then the security guy stuck, and then she was like, well, he shouldn't be passing them out." Then the little lady looked at her and looked at me, and then she looked at her again, like basically giving her a look like, "Why the fuck not?" And then she was like, "You know what? Here, give me the card. That's your number on it." I said, "Yeah." She says, maybe you what you do is you give me a call and we can set up a meeting and we can discuss your program." I said, "Well, can I give you a call Monday?" She said, "Oh yeah, matter of fact, you can stop by." I said, and she says to stop by early in the morning. So I have a meeting early in the morning, like around 8 o'clock. With I don't even know her position in the school. I don't know if she's assistant. I don't know who she is. All I know is that the security in mid conversation to me, she starts speaking to the woman. So this is a woman of authority. So I have a meeting with the woman of authority Monday about my program, Project Pick Me Up, aka Project Pick Us Up. So I really don't have too much time to just be wasting dialogue and wasteful conversation to folks who don't care what I'm talking about. I want to spend my mind thinking about what I'm going to say to the lady who wants to hear what I'm going to talk about, want to hear about my program, and want to be part of it and want to enhance it. Now, if there's anybody online right now that we're talking to that would like to help out, I would like to talk to you. We have the open line. We talk about mixed race. We talk about families of children who's born with, you know, mother or father who's not, you know, not the same race. That's what we talk about. Is there anybody who would like to have a conversation? See, I'm laying in the dark, about to rest my mind, rest my eyes. Got my laptop sitting right here. Got my notebook sitting right here. So we definitely gonna do some work. We preparing. The product is being worked on right now as I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm getting work done as I'm sitting here talking to you. I got my designer work. He's got my website looking pretty. Got my designer working on my buttons, working on my calendars. Things moving. Remember last year, 2020, my birthday? It's coming up. It's gonna be a good look. It's gonna be a real good look. It's going to be different. You do know that, right, folks? And with all those folks, we're going to ask you the question. Dusty Don made the power move. He survived. He never went to a shelter, thank God. He's still trying not to go into a shelter. He won't go in no shelter, though. That's not happening. And he just surviving. But he survived in the wave right before your eyes on live. You know what I'm saying? I actually survived live on YouTube. You guys seen The Real World. You actually watched The Real World. Icy Don's Real World. You know what I'm saying? How many people, Real World from last year to this year, we have an upward change? And I ain't talking about because you got stimulus checks. Who got true upward change because they made these changes themselves. How many folks was able to do that? I did some pull-ups today. I did some dips. I feel kind of good. Still focusing on that, you know, sparring with Umar. Because we're going to get that Mike Tyson 2 Mike Tyson's supposed to be boxing Jake Paul, I believe, in February. Umar, you better get yourself in shape. I don't know if Freddie Gibbs is going to box you or if he's going to box academics. But I believe Freddie Gibbs might find a way on that scorecard. You need to really negotiate and find a way to get on that scorecard. Get in shape, homeboy. You got 2 months to get in shape. Spar with me, and I'll get you in shape. And maybe another person who maybe a black dude with a white wife, also I might need to be a sparring partner as well. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be, you know, a good combination of heat that you need. You need that type of smoke. You owing me money, and you talk about, you know, the snow bunny. That'll give him a reason to really want to go ham on you. So you need that type of heat if you really want to box any of these type of people. If you want to box Mike Tyson, if you want to box Freddie, if you want to box even Jake Paul, you gotta understand these people is working out. All you doing is talking. So folks, we conversated about this for an hour. Like I say, it's a topic that we need to discuss. Who's the right person to host this conversation? Who's the right person to really have this conversation? I don't know. It's a topic that we need to have. Thanks for listening, your support. Peace.